Hello everybody and welcome to our first Instagram live stream. I'm Joycelyn.
I'm Diana.
And we are 2021's cohort of Marine Lab Research Assistants right here at Point Blue Conservation Science. Today we're tuning in from Petaluma's headquarters and in California, and we are excited for you all to join us today to talk about today's deep dive topic, pyrosomes, which you might also know as sea pickles. But first, before we begin, we'll get a little bit into ourselves. We are both recent graduates from the University of California, Santa Cruz, or UCSC, with degrees in marine biology. My interests are marine invertebrates and the rocky intertidal habitat. And during my undergrad experience, I participated in a field quarter in Sitka, Alaska, and was able to conduct field surveys to understand the influence of fresh water on the rocky intertidal community. After graduating, I worked a little bit as a scientific aide with the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, monitoring Southern California water bodies for invasive species.
Sweet. Yeah, my past experience focuses on large marine vertebrates, so more specifically, I'm very interested in marine mammals. So while I was at UCSC, I did a few research projects studying northern elephant seals at Alvarado State Park with the Costa Lab, which is the marine mammal lab at UCSC. And after graduating, I was a research assistant for the Shark Bay Dolphin Research Project, where I helped study bottlenose dolphin behavior in Western Australia. So I did a few educational positions afterwards, and then I joined Point Blue's Marine Lab in April of this year to expand my research experience to marine predator diet, which is actually exactly what we study here in the lab. So let's get into a little more about what we do here at Point Blue. So Point Blue's mission is to advance the conservation of birds, other wildlife, and ecosystems through science, partnership, and outreach. So whether you aspire to be a marine scientist or you're just someone who wants to learn a little bit about our oceans, first of all, welcome. We hope you leave here knowing a little bit more about the environment, or in today's case, a little more about pyrosomes. As marine research assistants at Point Blue, we analyze the diet of many different marine predators, such as California sea lions. I have a few pictures for you all today. California sea lions. We study the diet of California least terns. Brandt's cormorants, which look like this. And Cassin's auklets. So we study the diet of all these different marine predators here in the lab.
We also analyze zooplankton samples collected from research cruises with a program called ACCESS, which stands for the Applied California Current Ecosystem Studies. ACCESS is a collaboration among Point Blue, the National Marine Sanctuaries, and several other organizations, agencies, as well as universities. And the goal of this partnership is to support marine wildlife conservation and healthy marine ecosystems in the North to Central California area.
So you want to show them a picture of the zooplankton?
Oh yeah, here is the zooplankton samples that we get. You guys can see it's packed full of krill right now in this bottle.
Let's have a picture of the Tucker nets.
Alright, and in order to study zooplankton, scientists release these nets, as you can see down here, during the ACCESS cruises that capture zooplankton, and then we bottle up into the bottles that I just showed you. And these bottles come back to us right here in the lab where we process them.
Yeah, so the ACCESS program has actually been conducting these at-sea surveys in the sanctuary since 2004, so we have a great long-term data set. And in these samples, we look at many different zooplankton species, but we mostly focus on analyzing krill. So we have a picture of krill. Here's a good one. Yeah, so krill are these small shrimp-like organisms that are a main food source for fish, whales, and birds. So they're a very important prey species, and their abundance can tell us a lot about food availability. And studying the diet of these many different marine predators that I mentioned earlier can really help us understand the relationship between this food availability and ocean conditions, which ultimately helps us understand the health of the ocean environment.
Wow, Diana. Krill are really cool, but today we'll be looking at pyrosomes. And real quick, we just wanted to add that if you have any questions, you could send them in our way, and we'll try our best to answer them. If not, we'll get to them at the end. We have a little bit of time reserved to answer any additional questions. So scientists on the Axis cruises have collected fresh zooplankton samples for us to look at in the lab just this past month in June. And we were super excited to get some samples after pausing cruises in 2020. So if you guys can look down here, this is what our usual samples will look like. They're full of krill, and look at that, it's krilly beautiful. However, we noticed that some samples that we hoped would be full of krill were actually full of pyrosomes. And you can see this sieve is just packed full of pyrosomes and not a lot of krill.
Yeah. So we can take a moment to look at some real pyrosomes that we have from a sample. So just give us a few seconds while we readjust the view. Okay.
All right, everyone's still here, still hanging on. So pyrosomes, or sea pickles, are a type of colonial marine organisms called tunicates that are free-floating in the ocean. These guys are invertebrates, meaning they have no backbone. And you can see that they're pretty flexible here. This one's kind of bent over and kind of jiggly in structure. They are shaped like a pickle, just like the name implies. And the cool thing is, when you look at a pyrosome, you might think that you're looking at a single individual, but in reality, this pickle is made up of multiple clones linked together. What's also interesting is that pyrosomes are considered to be one of the least studied planktonic grazers, even though they have such a widespread distribution.
Yeah, so let's see if we can get a good look here at the individuals. So each kind of little lobe pore-like thing, if you can see that, is an individual clone, like Joycelyn mentioned. And they link all together to form this colony, which we refer to as a pyrosome. So the name pyrosoma actually derives from the Greek words pyro, meaning fire, and soma, meaning body. So they're called fire bodies or pyrosomes because of their ability to bioluminesce, or in other words, their ability to create light from special organs in their bodies. So their bodies can light up in the very dark ocean.
Yeah, so cool. And you guys can see here, it might seem like the pyrosomes are bioluminescing right now because of the glow, but this is actually the glow from the camera. They're not actually bioluminescing, just to clarify. These specimens are actually dead, unfortunately, but the live ones can bioluminesce in the wild.
Yeah, so someone mentioned that they are chordates, and that's correct. So they're chordates. They're related in a way to us, since we are also chordates.
Very cool.
Someone asked, what do they look like unlinked? And we have a diagram that we'll show soon that can give you a better idea.
Yeah. You guys, if you can take a closer look, they're kind of transparent. And the reason why that they're transparent is probably to help avoid detection by both predators and potential prey. If you take a look at this one, the small one here is about potentially about 5 centimeters at the tip of my pinky. And this one is a little bit on the smaller side, but the larger pyrosomes can get up to lengths of 8 to 10 meters or 26 to 33 feet.
Yeah. Something else you might not know is that the pyrosomes, as in the colonies of these tiny organisms, can live a very long time. So unless they're preyed upon or severely damaged, they can theoretically live forever, since they continue cloning themselves and adding on to the chain. So that just kind of blows my mind.
Another fun fact that is that pyrosomes are filter feeders. They have small holes on their surfaces, which is where they pull in water and filter it in order to get out the nutrients and phytoplankton they need to survive and grow. And I'm gonna pull the pyrosome specimens aside for a little bit and show this very cool diagram. So I know someone asked what an individual pyrosome looks like. So right here is a picture of a clone. This is actually blown up, so this is not the actual size of a clone. So the water enters through the pore over here that Diana kind of showed earlier. It gets filtered in this area where all the nutrients and the phytoplankton get pulled out, and the water exits out over here. Now take a look at this. Imagine this, and these little circles over here are actually clones of the blown up picture of this pyrosome. So you can see it here in this picture how the clones are positioned next to each other, and they make up that pickle shape of the pyrosome. All right, back to the specimens.
So let's see if we can try to zoom in and get a good look of what Joycelyn just mentioned. What's a good one? So just try to imagine that diagram that you just saw. These are all individuals that link together.
Very cool.
Yeah, so why do we care if these pyrosomes are popping up in our samples? Well, pyrosomes are actually found in warm tropical waters around the world. You may have seen some pyrosomes washed up on beaches before, so I am curious to see if anyone's seen these before on the beach. Leave a comment. I saw them last year washed up on a beach in Southern California. Had no idea what they were, but it's kind of fun to know now. So it's not uncommon to see a few of these on the beach once in a while. However, the numbers in which they're appearing now is what's quite alarming to marine scientists. What's also alarming is that we're beginning to see them in areas we wouldn't usually see them.
Yes, and pyrosomes have been making their way north. They were recently observed in large numbers in the Monterey Bay in Northern California. Now remember, pyrosomes are associated with warmer ocean temperatures. However, in 2017, they were seen in such huge numbers for the very first time ever in Oregon, Canada, and even Alaska. They were seen in such numbers that fishermen were unable to fish some days because all they would catch were nets full of pyrosomes. So what does this mean if pyrosomes are moving north? Well, northern areas along the west coast typically have colder water temperatures, but we're now seeing pyrosomes moving into these areas. A warm water species moving into colder waters could be a result of a marine heat wave and climate change. So finding pyrosomes not only in the area, but thriving in these areas is not a good sign in terms of the ocean's health. Ocean temperatures are rising and climate change is happening, and we're seeing evidence of this firsthand right here on our live stream today.
So again, these were found in our research cruise from last month in June.
Very cool.
Again, we'll try to zoom in a few more times in case anyone's joining in late. Again, we're looking at pyrosomes, which are planktonic filter feeders. Let's see if you can get a good view. These are colonies of cloned individuals.
And the texture is kind of rubbery, kind of squishy.
Yeah, when I've seen them on the beach, they're more like pickle shaped, like they have more volume to it. I think, I don't know, maybe because these have been in samples for so long and they're no longer alive, they're a little bit flatter, lost its shape a little bit. I see a few people have seen them on the beach before.
Very cool.
Now you kind of know a little bit more about them. Okay, so we're gonna leave this here for a few more seconds in case anyone wants to see, but we will turn the camera back to us for a few more minutes. Okay. Give us a few seconds while we flip the camera back over. Okay. That should be good enough. Yeah, so while we talked a little bit about these animals here today, there's still so much we don't know about them. So Joycelyn mentioned earlier that pyrosomes are one of the least studied planktonic species in the marine environment. So there's still so much to learn. So next time you're at the beach, maybe look around, you might find a few pyrosomes washed up on the beach. And if you do find some, maybe try snapping a few pictures and uploading them to websites like jellywatch.org and iNaturalist. Doing this actually helps researchers and scientists figure out what species have been washing up where, and also what time of year they're washing up. And this is, again, super helpful to understand not only a little more about pyrosomes themselves, but also helps researchers monitor ocean conditions and help them track these changes over time. So definitely keep your eyes peeled now that you know. And if you're walking with a friend or a family member, maybe teach them what you learned here today with us and how pyrosomes help us understand the ocean environment.
All right. Thanks, Diana, for all those great resources. And thanks so much for everyone who dropped in to visit us today. We hoped you learned something new, had fun, and were inspired by what you saw. If you'd like to get more involved with what we do here at Point Blue, make sure to visit our website, pointblue.org, and follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Also, stay tuned for future Live from the Labs and for 2 upcoming events, a Facebook Live at the Palmarin Station on July 23rd at 8:30 a.m., and for an Instagram Live hosted by Point Blue's Doris Duke scholars, Nina and Julie Marr. That will be on July 29th at 1 p.m. So if you have any questions, I see people have a couple questions. We can answer them now.
What holds them together?
They are tunicates. They're planktonic tunicates. So I know the tunic, very brief tunic, holds them all the clones together. Sorry if that's not the best answer.
Do you know what eats them? While we were researching this, I found that people have found them in stomachs of fish. I don't know what kinds of fish. So maybe some fish are eating them. I'm sure they also, once they die, they sink to the bottom floor and become food for other types of crustaceans and inverts at the bottom of the seafloor. So very important. Do they have any sort of defense mechanisms?
That's a good question.
So Joycelyn said that perhaps the reason that they're fairly translucent is maybe one of their defense mechanisms to avoid being predated upon. I know bioluminescence is sometimes a defense mechanism in many animals. It's still like being researched, but sometimes it acts like a little alarm system. If they start to light up, if they're being predated upon, they might attract predators to the animals that are predating on them. So that's something as well. What other qualities do they have other than filtering the water? Not sure. Not sure how to answer that one.
Or what the question is. Maybe you could clarify?
Could there be any other reasons that they seem to be migrating north other than colder temperatures?
Or warmer temperatures?
Yeah, so they're migrating north. They're warm water species, so they're migrating north, which tells us that ocean temperatures are now warming. So if they're able to thrive in these areas where it's supposed to be cold, might actually be telling us that these areas are warmer than they're supposed to be.
Mm-hmm. And also changes in currents can also take these pyrosomes there because they are planktonic. They kind of go where the current goes, so it could be a sign that these currents are also changing.
Right. Yeah, so they're free floating in the water.
That's a good point. Meredith said that if sea turtles could eat them because they're gelatinous.
Yeah, maybe sea turtles are eating them. Again, these are not very well studied, so a lot of people don't have the answers to these questions. But yeah, these are all very good, very great questions, very good points. Let's see if we missed any others. But yeah, again, this video, this live will be posted on the IGTV Point Blue's Instagram page. So in case you missed anything or want to go back or pause, you can feel free to do that then. You could also comment. We can try to answer your questions later on as well. Yeah, I've never heard of these, so thanks for the info.
Oh, yeah, of course.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
Yeah, next time you're at the beach, maybe look around.
Mm-hmm.
What's your favorite thing about pyrosomes? I didn't know that they were clones linked together. I thought the whole pickle was just a pyrosome, like it's one individual and that's it. But then Joycelyn kind of ran me through her diagrams and her textbooks, and I was kind of blown away that these were clones of themselves linked together. So there are many different organisms together. So I don't know. That was mind-blowing to me. So
I thought it was cool that the colony can like potentially live forever if they are not damaged or injured or don't get preyed upon. So that was a super cool fact. I didn't know that.
Thank you for all the kind comments.
Yeah. Someone asked, are there multiple species of pyrosomes? Yes. There are multiple species of pyrosomes.
We're not necessarily sure what species we showed you all today, but I'm sure there are many different types of species out there. They're very widely distributed. You're welcome, everybody.
Oh, thanks, Lishka. So much love.
Thank you for all the kind words, everyone. We're really glad that you guys liked this. We learned a lot while researching for this. We also had a lot of fun spending time here with you all.
Right. So you guys want one last look at the pyrosomes? We have them over here.
But if not, again, this will be posted later on. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. I'll flip it over in case anyone wants to see it, but if not, yeah, thank you all for joining.
Yes. See you guys next time.
Okay. In case anyone wants a last look. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for all the hearts.
I love the hearts.
Thank you. You're welcome, everyone. Hopefully we have more of these deep dives soon.
This one's bumpy.
Yeah. So I can zoom in anymore. All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for
Talk
coming.
to you soon.